It's the moment every fantasy football manager dreads. The one where your star quarterback face plants in week 1 and sends your team into a panic. But does one rough start spell doom for the rest of the season? Or is it just the anomaly you'll laugh about later? Week 2 promises redemption, heartbreak, and a few eyebrow-raising surprises in the quarterback landscape. Right away, eyes are on Joe Burrow, notorious for his less-than-stellar season openers. But here's where it gets controversial. Fantasy managers are being urged to trust him again, just 1 week after that dismal performance. Why? The Bengals face a Jaguars defense that barely broke a sweat against the Panthers and still looks exploitable on paper. Vegas seems to agree, tagging this as one of the week's highest projected scoring matchups. To bench or not to bench Burrow? That's the debate. Would you roll the dice? Jayden Daniels was the name on everyone's lips after his week 1 outing. Despite skepticism about Washington's supposed lack of firepower, Daniels instantly synced with Deebo Samuel, who's shifted inside to the slot more than ever. For context, Daniels tallied double-digit carries, something he did only 6 times in the previous season. After just 1 game, his odds of repeating last year's breakout look a lot better. Daniels is making believers out of doubters, at least for now. Dak Prescott's first week was a frustration factory. He made his throws, but receivers couldn't hang on, and the offense stumbled. Yet heading home to face the Giants, a defense that's solid but not scary, Prescott is set up for at least a couple of touchdowns. It's too early to abandon ship here. Now here's a fun twist. Patrick Mahomes, despite instantly losing Xavier Worthy and already missing Rashee Rice, managed to stack up 26 fantasy points, a mark he only achieved 4 times last year. He's targeting deeper throws, with intended air yards jumping from last season. Some experts still question Mahomes' ceiling without his top receivers, especially against an Eagles defense that looked lost last week. But can Mahomes thrive no matter who lines up next to him? Argue your side. Kyler Murray didn't exactly dazzle in week 1, but fantasy managers feel whiplash after he missed connecting on a nearly 100-yard touchdown bomb to Marvin Harrison Jr. Opportunity knocked, but didn't open. Even still, he lands among the top quarterbacks this week, thanks to a juicy matchup with a Panthers squad that surrendered in Jacksonville. Then there's the tough case of rookie Drake May, who had a rough welcome to the NFL with 50 inefficient dropbacks. Patriots coach Mike Vrabel is calling for more offensive balance, a smart move after that rocky debut. It might be best to reserve May for 2 QB or superflex setups until things settle. Let's not overlook Justin Herbert, who crossed borders to Brazil in week 1 and promptly delivered the 10th best fantasy score of his career. With over 300 yards, far above his average last September, and a deeper supporting cast under the new coaching regime, Herbert appears poised for a big home opener versus a vulnerable Raiders defense. Is this the start of a new, more dynamic Herbert era? In Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence and the Jags seem to take week 1 less seriously, with weather delays and a mismatch against Carolina. That left fantasy managers in the lurch, but their upcoming Bengals showdown could turn into a high-scoring spectacle. Exactly what you want for your fantasy QB. J.J. McCarthy isn't a regular streamer yet, but a flawless fourth-quarter performance last week keeps him in the top 24 conversation. On the other hand, Justin Fields smashed early expectations by torching the Steelers, locking on to Garrett Wilson, and running wild. If Buffalo's defense repeats last week's struggles, can Fields be a new weekly must-start? Jared Goff, fresh off one of his messiest outings, draws a soft matchup at home versus a depleted Bears secondary. Fantasy history says Goff bounces back in dome games, so do you trust him to right the ship? Jordan Love was a product of the Packers running out the clock during a lopsided victory, but expect a more ordinary pass-heavy game against the Commanders. For those desperate for a streamer, Love might quietly rack up value this week, but this is the part most people miss. Not every new starter handles adversity with poise. Rookie Bo Nix struggled against the Titans, turning the ball over 3 times. while Caleb Williams' debut was a full-blown calamity, accuracy woes, and no bounce-back plays. Both signal callers have talent, but neither can be trusted as a starter unless something changes fast. Elsewhere, Bryce Young and his depleted weapons are a hard fade. Meanwhile, Michael Penix Jr. flashed intriguing upside as a streaming option, especially if his top receiver, Drake London, returns to health. Daniel Jones, though, coming off a career highlight, runs into a brick wall this week, facing Denver's defense, which just turned Cam Ward inside out in his NFL debut. Would you dare to start Jones given the risk? And let's be honest, in fantasy football, one great or terrible week doesn't tell the whole story. If you're making aggressive moves, start the conversation. Who are your ride-or-die quarterbacks this week, and which ones are on the chopping block? Do you think it's wise to keep faith in proven stars, or is it time to gamble on those surging new faces? Drop your boldest takes in the comments. Let's settle this debate.